I love the word aspire because it gives us hope that there's something to work for. Let's move on now to lesson number 4. And in this lesson, you talked a lot about how whatever you do, there will be naysayers, there will be criticism, and just got to get used to it. That's part of our lives. That's part of being a dancer. So it's just something that should be sort of taught as we go through whatever form of education, right? However, I think also, as we know by now, dance is a relatively small, and pretty interdependent world. We're always kind of moving and cycling through our own people, whether they're audience, whether they're creators, they're organizers, whatever the case may be. So with that, like, I'm really curious to know how you see this part of the problem. How do we sort of sidestep, naysayers? How do we kind of deal with the fact that, yes, a lot of the criticisms that we may sort of get, that people don't like what counter technique is, like you said, maybe. And also the other part of it is that most of it comes from yourself, right? Your own demons. You're maybe creating some of that yourself, and no one's really saying that's something bad or anything like that. And last but not least, dancers are the most sensitive people I know in this earth when it comes to criticism of a work. The work is so precious. So how do you deal with that, and how does the development of your technique also help sort of overcome that, what is seemingly an increasing problem?
Yeah, I mean, we earlier on we talked already about that dancers have to be self-critical because they have to motivate themselves from day to day. So this critical eye or voice is important to see, okay, this doesn't work, I need to work on this. You cannot completely experience as a dancer if the movement or how you perform is the right way. You need an external eye because how you feel and how it comes across are two separate things, unfortunately. Yeah. So every dancer that I asked this, they've always affirmed that how you feel, like you have a great performance, you feel great, and then the choreographer or rehearsal director or your boyfriend comes backstage and says, "You look a little flat. Are you okay?" And you're like, "I felt great. What are you talking about?" I has experienced that. And then on the other hand, it can also be the other way around. You feel without energy, you don't have inspiration, you're on stage going through the motions, you're like, this is fake what I'm doing. And then afterwards you hear, oh, that was very moving what you were doing. Every dancer that I
Oh
see will
yeah.
also affirm this
Oh yeah.
completely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes it aligns, you feel flat and your performance was flat. You feel fantastic and it was fantastic. So as a dancer, I always found this extremely confusing and confronting and frustrating. It was really frustrating. So therefore, in the Countertechnique practice, the tools that we selected to put in the toolbox are also really practical tools that we have observed working really well in this situation where you're not sure how you will come across. You might run into a moment of feeling insecure because you're afraid of criticism. So what do you do? So then you pick one of the tools from the toolbox, and we have developed them and researched them quite a lot. So we know that they work. And then you take one of the tools to basically occupy yourself in the process of dancing. And it's not only a distraction, it also helps the performance become much better. So these tools that we apply, approach, is an amazing way to bypass fear for criticism, whether it's on yourself or on other people. And it also then distracts you from all other things like fatigue, being afraid that you will not be able to concentrate. That's another thing that dancers find really hard, and particularly young dancers, they're afraid they'll get blackouts on stage, that they'll remember the corrections. So by working with very simple, specific tools, and there are only a few that we use, it can get the dancer to the moment of performance and in the process of the action. Because in the end, performing is nothing else but the action that's happening on stage, the action of time, of movement, of space, of interaction between people. And if we do it well, it's magical. That's why we all love this art form.